The stories we were told on this documentary, especially by Wade Robson, who was one of the accusers, really, really horrifying stuff and very disturbing, the things he said. Brandy Jackson is Michael Jackson's niece. She dated Wade, so she knows both sides of this party very well.
And she dated him for 7 years. This isn't like just like a schoolyard dating thing.
No.
It's a long-term girlfriend.
Yeah, so we're keen to get her on. Hi, Brandy.
Good morning. How are you? Welcome to the show, hun.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for coming on.
When you and your family sat down and watched this documentary that the whole world's talking about, what was your initial, obviously you would have been horrified, right? What's your first thoughts about when you sat down? Were you thinking, these people are lying? This is not true? Tell me your thoughts.
Absolutely, yeah. When I was watching it, I was completely sickened by it, to be honest with you. The things that he was saying were so over the top and so ridiculous. He was not describing my uncle. He was describing a totally different person, but not my uncle. And that's why this is a narrative that has changed in his entire speaking over the last 15 years. Everything that he's ever said about my uncle is the complete opposite of who he was painting in this documentary.
And he went to court, and he went to court and said nothing happened.
Exactly.
But wasn't he instructed to, according to Wade,
right.
The reason he did that is because he was instructed by Michael to do that. Otherwise, they'd go to jail.
Right.
So is there any part of you that believes that that's possibly true and that there are possibly two sides to Michael, a side you didn't witness?
No, not at all. And part of what I have to say to that is, with Wade saying that he was afraid they would go to jail. Wade was a grown man when he testified the second time.
Right.
And if somebody had been anally penetrating you and anally abusing you when you were 14 years old, and you had a chance to go on the stand and put that man away for the rest of his life so that he couldn't hurt anyone else, you do it.
Yeah, why wouldn't you do it? You know what I mean? Of course you would.
And I understand, when he was a child, if he was too afraid to do such a thing, that makes sense. But as a grown man, it doesn't. And at the same time, Wade's wife has claimed to be an abuse victim as well. And he had his wife standing right by his side. So I don't think that sets a good precedent for your family, that you are willing to side with an abuser rather than siding with your friend. This was a friend of his. This was not his abuser.
Have you spoken to Wade since the documentary's come out?
I have not, no.
Not reached out? No,
you haven't messaged him, you're a dog, nothing. You just kept quiet from your end?
I haven't kept quiet, per se. I just haven't reached out to him. I have no reason. It's not as though he's going to say, watch what I'm doing, I'm going to tell these lies.
Yeah, right, you're right.
You know what I mean? So there's no reason for me to reach out to him. He knows what he's doing.
A lot of the family of Michael's are very adamant that this wasn't him, that it wasn't in his nature. What makes you guys so sure? Tell me about Michael that makes you so sure that never happened.
Michael is the type of person who all he wanted was peace for people. He wanted everyone to be happy and for good to be done to people. And that's what he really spent his life doing, was spreading love and joy. And when you get to know him, you understand that he's a very sensitive and delicate person, and which is what made him easy to be a victim throughout his life. He was constantly being attacked and ridiculed, but he withstood it all. And I have to tell you that he's not the type of person that could ever harm anyone, especially a child. And for people who have ever met him, they can tell you that that's a true statement. It's just that he's such an enigma, and he's almost like a cartoon character. People can't really fathom him. If you haven't met him, you can't understand him.
Yeah, that's true. I've met him many, many years ago, and I would describe him like a cartoon character, almost like like too hard to describe as a human, you know what I mean, like an animated, because we've got an image in our mind, we've got all that music, and it was weird, I suppose, from the outside looking in, him running around Neverland with her kids but I believed the story, and I still to this day believe the story that he just never had his childhood, and he was sort of trapped in that sort of, that sort of bubble world that he created for himself to be happy.
Absolutely. That was him. And unfortunately, people aren't used to it, so they're able to ridicule it.
How's Paris going, his daughter?
This whole situation is hard on everyone, I have to tell you. And I feel especially bad for them because they don't remember these things from 2005. They didn't have to go through it in that way. So I think that this is their first wave of having to deal with this. And I feel very bad for them, especially since he's not here to talk them through it and to explain to them what
I heard
what this is about.
I heard little Blanket, who's not so little anymore. He's probably 18 now. So his Blanket had just stopped talking once this documentary came out. Not talking to anyone. Is sort of gone into a shell almost. Is that true?
Yeah, I don't want to, he's a young boy, and I don't want to put his business out there, but yeah, this is very, very hard. It's very hard for them to digest.
I can imagine.
So do you think the motive, if you don't believe Wade and the other guy, Jimmy, is it Jimmy?
James? Yeah, Jimmy or James.
Jimmy. If you don't believe them, do you think it's just purely motivated by money?
Absolutely, 100%, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. Wade openly talks about the depression and breakdown that he had. And when he talked about it initially, he referenced his work and how difficult it was to find work. And unfortunately, here in America, that's a common narrative. Except here, a lot of times when people are having a hard time with work, sometimes they'll kill themselves or kill their family. And that's a very drastic thing to see happen, but it's very common. Yeah. In this situation, he was able to accuse Michael of molestation. It's an easier route. It's something that the public would believe, and it's simple for him.
When you were dating Wade, when you were boyfriend, girlfriend, when was this? How old were you guys?
Well, we met in approximately 91 on some photo shoots, LA Gear and the black or white video.
Yeah.
And my uncle is the one that, Wade had developed a crush and asked my uncle if he would put us together, basically. So it was around that time frame, 91, maybe 92, that we started spending more time together, and he asked me to be his girlfriend. And this went on until about 2001.
Right.
So we spent a good chunk of our teen years, actually all of our teen years together.
And when you're that young, teenage boyfriend, teenage girlfriend, you spend a lot of time. You confide in each other. You never heard any of these accusations back then. He wasn't weirded out about Michael. There was nothing on the radar from him to you that spelled that there could be a problem. No, not at all. Right.
No. And one of the things is you get this impression from the documentary that he was always with my uncle, that he was with him in these long sprints of time. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you that from the time that I've met Wade, that wasn't the case. My uncle was always traveling and working. Wade was here in Los Angeles working. He wasn't with my uncle. I spent a lot of time at Wade's house with his family. I know where he was.
And he wasn't really with Michael. Mm.
Not like that, no.
Yeah.
And that's why people that used to work at Neverland are speaking out. Because we did used to go to the ranch, but my uncle wasn't there like that.
Right.
And that's what people have to say. The people that were there are speaking out to tell you. My uncle wasn't with him like that.
Mm. Oh, well, Brandy, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Did you and Wade,
did
you guys lose your virginity with each other?
Yes.
Right. So
I can't speak for him. I learned that he was cheating, so I can't speak for him. That's his business to tell. But
right.
yes.
Yeah. So this was an intimate, proper relationship. I just wanted to just cap it off with that. And by the way, I never forgave him for the Britney Justin thing either. So.
Yeah, that was wrong.
Yeah, that was
wrong. That was a wrong thing to do.
We did get the good Crimea River song out of that from Justin.
That's true.
Look, I thank you for your point of view on this because,
thanks,
as I said, when you watch a documentary, it's designed for people to believe what the filmmakers want you to believe. It's happened with the McDonald's documentary too, where they said if you keep eating McDonald's,
you'll get
explode.
Fat.
Yeah, and I tried to prove that wrong, but then, of course, I proved that right.
Okay, so that's not a good comparison.
No, terrible comparison. But Brandy, thank you. Really appreciate your time, hon. I know it's a tough time for the whole family. I like to get to the truth of things, but both sides of a story need to be told, not just one.
Appreciate it, Brandy.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Brandy Jackson, Michael Jackson's niece, on the air this morning. But I saw there's a big campaign in London. They're on those big London buses. Hashtag Michael is innocent. There's a big campaign, big money being spent from someone somewhere. Michael Jackson fans, I think.
Oh, yeah, they're pretty hardcore, those fans. They will refuse to believe this.
Yeah.
No matter what.
And I think, you know what?
I
we probably
don't
will
know.
never know.
I don't know.
We will never know.
Yeah, I know.